This is Health Yeah, your weekly update on what's going on in the health, wellness, and medical world with Monica Robbins.
The 4th of July is a summer highlight. We celebrate, but it can also be dangerous, especially when fireworks are involved. And every year, many forget that those fun items can potentially cause catastrophic damage.
Fireworks are great. We all enjoy seeing them and being a part of that celebration, but they really are not toys.
We have some common sense safety tips to remind you and to keep your family safe, including your pets. Plus, let's not forget about our veterans and triggering effects fireworks can have on them.
The booming and the banging, and it just reminds me about when missiles were going over my head.
It's all straight ahead on this week's edition of Prescription for Life. Welcome to Prescription for Life. I'm Monica Robbins. We know a lot of people will be out there lighting up the night sky for the 4th of July, but remember, they're not toys, and safety is important when dealing with fireworks, even the kind that don't go boom. In 2022, more than 10,000 people went to the ER after using fireworks. Doctors call it the worst weekend of the year due to the number of accidents that they see. Claire Alfrey talks with medical professionals about how to avoid spending your holiday in the emergency room.
Pennsylvania recently loosened firework laws so people can have even bigger fireworks displays right in their own backyard. While this is great for stores that sell the stuff, like White Nights Fireworks in Danville, it brings crowds to hospital waiting rooms.
Because of that, we have seen an uptick of fires, building fires, forest fires, and injuries.
Registered nurse Deborah Erdman says they are increasing staff for the holiday weekend to treat minor burns, hand and facial injuries, all caused by fireworks. But they're not just treating adults who are incorrectly setting off the fireworks.
We see the 8 to 9, 10, 12-year-olds coming in with minor injuries such as burns from sparklers or maybe getting too close to other kinds of fireworks.
Pediatric psychologist Samuel Faulkner also shares that fireworks may not only harm kids physically, but mentally, especially if they are diagnosed with PTSD or autism spectrum disorder.
It also produces a really intense distress response for those kiddos just by being exposed to a loud noise.
No matter how big or small the fireworks display is, Faulkner shares it may trigger patients of all ages.
For folks who have a trauma history where a loud noise was involved, maybe it's a gunshot or something like that, a loud noise may trigger the same fear and intense distress that they felt when that thing happened in the moment when they hear a similar sound.
The biggest piece of advice from Geisinger is to be prepared when handling or watching fireworks.
Keep a bucket of water handy, a bucket of sand even, and have your people who are watching away at least 100 feet from anything that's going to fly up or roll or tumble or something like that.
Claire Alfrey, Newswatch 16, Montour County.
Now to our expert who looks at fireworks and other summertime dangers that could ruin your summer or worse, your life. Joining me now is Dr. Jason Milk, who is an emergency physician with Cleveland Clinic. We are still talking about summer emergencies because they seem to never end, but let's talk about fire. What is the most common injury that you see pertaining to kids or adults coming into the emergency room in summer months?
Sure. This is that time of year where everyone wants to get together with family and celebrate holidays and be outside, and really in the warmer weathers, which in Northeast Ohio seem like they're never here. And when they do, certainly fire is part of that. And one of the things that we tend to see is those individuals, maybe the wood is wet or it's not as dry as it should be, and really to start it, we see a lot of over-aggressive use of lighter fluid or gasoline or things. And so we see a lot of flash injuries where they go to light the fire immediately comes up and hits them in the face, the upper chest or the arms. And it's usually a very common theme over the summer months, especially in the early spring as it starts to warm up.
How serious can that be?
It can range anywhere between, kind of a joking, laughing matter where the individual is going to be okay with some salves to, more severe burns about their face that could potentially be disfiguring or more permanent. So
fireworks, 4th of July and on, because they're sold in Ohio all the time. So what are the, if you could do something about fireworks, and let's start with kids.
Sure.
What would you tell parents?
Listen, fireworks are great. We all enjoy seeing them and being a part of that celebration, but they really are not toys. And I think a lot of the things, you can go to the grocery store, you can go to the gas station and buy these little packs of things that seem fairly innocuous, but sparklers, for instance, really aren't for kids. They burn somewhere between 1,500 degrees and 2,000 degrees, and we're handing them to small children to run around with. So that's a big take home, that they are really not as safe as most people believe. Certainly fireworks at home can be fun, and they can be safe if it's done appropriately. But we do see injuries from time to time of people that have attempted to light fireworks and then attempt to relight fireworks if they don't, immediately ignite or go off. It's either sometimes in a windy environment, or too close to a home, or in a very dry environment that's quick to flash or light as well. And in rare circumstances, though, some people light the fireworks and it's really adjacent to something else, and it starts that on fire, which then quickly gets out of control.
So do you always see the kid with the sparkler burn, usually every year?
The good news is we don't see a lot of that in the emergency department, because many of those things are more superficial with some burns, but there's potential for more significant injury. And then we usually, occasionally see 1 to 2 children every year that do have some sparkler burns, though.
When you do see firework disfiguring injuries, when the hand gets damaged or another body part, what is that usually from?
Usually it's from a relighting attempt. The individual had the right intention of doing it correctly the first time. Maybe it was windy, maybe the material or that particular product was defective, and they attempt to relight or relight it again. And a lot of times it ends with them holding it in one hand and lighting it in the other, and in an attempt to then get rid of it, but the wick's too short, and then it goes, the discharge happens in their hand.
What about gas grills?
Again, very popular this time of year, whether it be gas or whether it be, charcoal, and we're using igniter fluid to do so. Many of us get out of practice or out of habit of how to use them appropriately, and in the spring we invigorate and want to go out and do so. But a lot of times either putting too much lighter fluid on and then lighting that, and you get the same flash type injury, or those individuals that may have a gas grill that's dysfunctional, or it's putting out the gas but it's not lighting, and then the entire vessel is opening and filling full of gas, and when it finally sparks or lights, you get that flash. So having an open space, an open environment away from your home are all good ideas, but also applying the right amount of lighter fluid and igniting it from a distance, either with a longer stick or piece of wood to ignite that appropriately, so that you're not next to it when it finally does ignite.
And propane has a smell, so if you smell propane, don't put flame near it.
Yeah, and again, all the manufacturers have different recommendations on this, but most of it's to keep the lid open again. So if there's a buildup of some fumes in that area, as you're indicating with the smell, then again, a lot of it just off gases and goes away. But the recommendation would be, if you, on several attempts that you're trying to light it, it doesn't, then it is to stop, shut everything off, let the fumes dissipate, figure out what the issue is, and then maybe reattempt once the fumes have gone.
Bonfires. Everybody has a backyard fire pit, and even the fire pits that they now sell in tabletops and that sort of thing. Are those a problem?
They can be, right? All of us enjoy a little bit of a fire, and then want a little more of a fire, and maybe it's a little chilly at night and you want a little warmer fire. And so a lot of individuals start to pile wood onto a fire, or maybe more wood onto a fire. A lot of times, along with a nice bonfire, some of us would enjoy maybe an alcoholic beverage, and that usually sometimes leads to different decisions being made, which you can't always take back either. But generally, good fire safety for fire pits would be, making sure that everything is clear of the area. There's nothing else near it that could light onto fire. You want to be careful which way the wind's going and where the ash is. Sometimes the ash may fall near something else and light something on fire. And then you want to keep the fire at a level that's appropriate for the fire pit or fire display that you have. Overdoing that could compromise the integrity of the vessel that you're in, and lead to other problems.
What are some other summer injuries that you see that we don't typically think about?
Yeah, we're getting into the lawn and garden type of the season as well. So a lot of us have yards that we want to manicure and take care of, or bush or shrubs or other things that need to be trimmed. So we see occasional injuries with, trimming devices and things where they jam or are inappropriate, and individuals will get finger or hand injuries with those. Chainsaw injuries, we're into chainsaw season with injuries where people are the inappropriate garments to wear, inappropriate protective devices, or are not practicing safety as far as which way the tree is going to move or go. And then lastly, unfortunately, lawnmowers. Most walking lawnmowers that are smaller are fairly benign. They can be shut off in between when you're not, but we start to see riding mower injuries. Seems very benign. Most of us probably have a fun childhood memory of riding on a long tractor with a loved one or otherwise, but it is not appropriate to have a child sitting on your lap while mowing the lawn. Every year we will see a child injured from a lawnmower that was being used at the time to cut grass, and a child may fall off and one of their extremities gets close to the blades.
Wow. What else do you see that you want to warn people about?
I think we're getting into pool season, so we always want to talk about, pool safety, water safety. Slip and slides are fun in the yard, but there's some safety warnings there as well. Certainly you want to make sure that children are well attended around water. If they're going to be in the pool, there needs to be a parent or someone who is water capable to be there watching them, and not necessarily if they're not a swimmer either. In that regard, flotation devices are very helpful. We want to just keep an eye on our small children around the water.
It's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, because we had an incident where the child wasn't swimming. They were just wading in the water, and they got swept out. Mm-hmm. So it's something that you need to be cognizant of. Waves in lakes or
swimming
rivers.
Pools, lakes, rivers, streams, or otherwise, all pose some form of a hazard. Lake Erie is not the Atlantic Ocean, but we know there are currents and riptides that can happen just the same on Lake Erie. And so life jackets are really there for a safety device and a flotation device, but you should be in groups. Everyone should have a partner or a buddy. And even if you're in the water with somebody, you really should have someone on land who's being observant.
Final thoughts, if you could shake us all and tell us, don't do this in the summer, what would it be?
Lighter fluid's not your friend, and gasoline, with open fire, usually equals a trip to the emergency department.
Great point, great insight. Dr. Milk, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Still ahead, the triggering effects fireworks can have on our veterans.
Or the mortars would hit the ground and all the shrapnel would fly.
And what to do with those leftover fireworks. Welcome back. We're talking about fireworks safety. Something so fun and festive can impact your neighbors much differently, especially our veterans. The sound and smell can be triggering for veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. Candace Redd explains how to celebrate the holiday in considerate and respectful ways.
Nancy Thomas, who lives in Sacramento, is a military hero.
But if I could do it again, I would.
She joined the Air Force at 19, serving the country for about 5 years.
I went to boot camp at Lackland Air Force Base. Everyone knows that's where you go. And then I was stationed in Oklahoma for a little while, and then I got stationed in Japan. I went to Afghanistan for 2 tours in 2008 to 2011.
She found love while in the Air Force, another military hero.
Yes, my husband is a retired Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Chief Master Sergeant Kenneth Thomas.
With fireworks over the July 4th holiday, Thomas is encouraging everyone to respect veterans, especially those with PTSD.
It's just the noise and the booming and the banging, and it just reminds me about when missiles were going over my head, or the mortars would hit the ground and all the shrapnel would fly, and you just see soldiers in front of you and back of you crying in the chow hall line.
She does what she can to cope.
I have to take my anxiety medication. I have to turn on the fans, the music, aromatherapy.
Thomas worries about her dogs too because of the loud fireworks and says,
if anyone just wants to take anything into consideration on this holiday, go out, celebrate, of course, have a great time, but just be considerate and keep the noise level down.
The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs says you can help vets cope by reminding them of what's really happening, by saying things like, this is not a combat zone. The noise is only fireworks. Those dazzling displays can also do a real number on your pets. Their behavior can range from cowering in corners to running away from home. Here's some advice to keep your pets safe for the holiday and all summer long. Spectacular to watch and a thrill to hear. 4th of July wouldn't be complete without a celebration in the sky. But not everyone is a fan.
Summertime can be really hard for dogs, both because of fireworks and thunderstorms. Those big booms can be really scary for a lot of dogs.
Valerie Ross-Smith of Sits and Wiggles Dog Training says this is the time to start preparing. And if your dog is truly noise phobic, like Gracie here, a call to your vet ahead of time is the first step.
If your dog truly has a noise phobia, is terrified of fireworks, is terrified of storms, it is better to be sedated. It's less traumatic for them than to go through that. And we want to test those medications out before day of, because there could be potential side effects.
Next, start working on your bunker plan. It's that safe, cozy spot in your home where your dog will feel most at ease. Maybe it's a finished basement or interior room that offers more of a barrier between your pet and the sound. Have their favorite blankets or bed, some calming music or white noise that might mask the sound of the booms.
And then we have all of her, what we call her comfort items. So she loves enrichment activities, especially if there's peanut butter and cheese involved. She also enjoys these types of puzzle toys for foraging. Again, keeping that brain going, utilizing her nose to forage for food is going to help her stay calm and use that brain so she's not necessarily thinking about those fireworks or those claps of thunder going off.
When the day comes, carve out time for exercise. Make sure your pup has gotten a good walk in or hike before the festivities begin.
So they're more likely to go, oh, I have my calming aids, I've had my calming enrichment, I have my calm music on. I think maybe I'll sleep through the fireworks instead of being really anxious about it.
Experts say using a GPS device on their collar, or better yet, microchipping, may be the best way to find your fur baby quickly.
A lot of people have a belief of, in order to microchip your pet, need to have a surgery done. That's not the case.
The chip is the size of a grain of rice and can be inserted beneath the skin with a needle. Takes about 5 minutes and contains an ID number that can be scanned by veterinarians, animal shelters, and animal rescue organizations. And when you're done with the fireworks, have you ever wondered what you're really supposed to do with the leftover fireworks? Do they expire? Ariane Daniel with our National Verify team answers that question.
The 4th of July celebrates America's Independence Day. According to the National Retail Federation, 42% of Americans plan to watch fireworks or some kind of community celebration. Others may put on their own show. While fireworks aren't legal to purchase in every state, the American Pyrotechnics Association says consumers in the U.S. bought 436 million pounds of fireworks in 2022. But what happens to fireworks you buy but don't use? Let's verify. Do fireworks expire? Our sources are the Library of Congress, Julie L. Heckman, Executive Director of the American Pyrotechnics Association, and 3 fireworks retailers. According to the Library of Congress, black powder is what makes fireworks, and our sources say black powder doesn't expire. But when it's exposed to water, it does become ineffective. Julie L. Heckman with the American Pyrotechnics Association says fireworks packaging can degrade over time, which can expose the black powder inside to water. To keep your fireworks safe and sparkling bright for as long as possible, Heckman says they need to be stored properly in a cool, dry place, like a plastic container or a plastic garbage bag. Retailers Uncle Sam's Fireworks and Dynamite Fireworks agree. Dynamite Fireworks says they will last for years when stored properly. So we can verify that fireworks don't expire, but they do lose their spark when exposed to moisture. If you want to toss out some old fireworks, our sources say the safest choice is to let the fireworks sit in a bucket of water for a day so they don't accidentally ignite in the trash. With your Verify, I'm Ariane Till.
Remember to check the laws in your state to see what's legal and what's not when it comes to fireworks. And however you celebrate the holiday or the summer season, please do it safely. That'll do it for this week's edition of Prescription for Life. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Monica Robbins. I'll see you back here next week with another dose. Until then, wishing you and yours good health. Thank you so much for tuning into Health Yeah. Please find me on Twitter and Instagram at Monica Robbins. Like and follow my Facebook page, Monica Robbins WKYC. Find video podcasts at Monica Robbins' channel on YouTube. And please subscribe. Wishing you great health and hope to see you again soon.
Thanks for listening to Health Yeah with Monica Robbins from WKYC Studios. Subscribe now so you never miss an update. And find more on everything you heard here on WKYC.com and on the WKYC app.